All right, fans, I'm here with Eli Steadman from the Xenia Scouts here to start out the 2024 summer baseball season. Eli, you're with the Scouts.
I am.
Much like your older brother was, Cole, who was here back in 2021.
Yes.
Talk about how you got here to the Scouts here in lovely Xenia, Ohio.
Yeah, well, it's kind of an interesting story, one that a lot of people have heard about. I played with AIA back freshman year. My coach had referred to me. I knew about it from my brother. So I went up to Rochester when the Ridgemen were still with AIA, and I had a great experience. So I always kind of had the Scouts in the back of my mind. You know, the Great Lakes League's a very good league, and I wanted to play for the Scouts eventually. And I wasn't sure if I was going to play summer ball this year, but then once I had heard the news about our school closing in the middle of the season, I figured it'd probably be a good decision for me to go ahead and, you know, continue getting ABs and be able to have some film to send out to different people and things like that. So that's kind of how I ended up here.
So I know that we here in Ohio know about it here in Xenia, but Athletes in Action is all over the country in different places. Had you been here when your brother played to watch games? How familiar were you with this particular campus?
Yeah, I'd gotten to come up here and I watched one or two games over July 4th. It was super cool to get to see the town, kind of get to know the little town vibe. And, you know, I love the facilities. It's a very nice field, very nice weight room. And the mission that Jason and the guys are doing here at Athletes in Action with Crew is just something special.
So a big part of why I came here to talk to you is you, like your brother, played at Birmingham Southern.
Right.
Division III at this point, but they have been at higher levels in the past. And just kind of talk about being a student there, because it's pretty clear, as we'll get to the conclusion, is that was they had some financial hardships as an institution. Kind of talk about that as a student when you hear the whispers around campus about things like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's definitely not something you want to hear. You know, I think the first time we heard about it was my sophomore year. We're in Christmas break. And so, you know, it kind of seemed to be a theme that we were finding things out when we were going on breaks. I guess that's an easy way to break news to the students when you just have to do an email. But, you know, it's not something that you want to hear. It was a special place to me. It was a special place to my brother. And if you talk to anybody that's gone to Birmingham Southern or was at Birmingham Southern when it closed, I mean, all they talk about is how cool of a place it was. It was a unique place. You know, everybody, it truly felt like everyone there was your family. Everyone was looking out for you. It was a small, tight-knit community. So it wasn't something that you wanted to hear, you know, and it definitely worried a lot of students, including myself, you know, some feelings of anxiousness, like what am I going to do if the school closes? You know, what happens to my credits, things like that. So it's not something that was easy to deal with, that's for sure.
So the news finally broke this past spring. I mean, we're talking to each other in June of 2024. Back in March is when the word broke. How did you guys and other students and athletes around campus find out that this was going to happen, that it really was true, that the school was going to close?
Yeah, so the athletes kind of found out a little bit different than the regular students. As I was telling you earlier, we were on spring break. So most of the athletes found out through team meetings, whether they're on campus or not. You know, most of the spring sports were on campus. So they had physical meetings in locker rooms or meeting rooms, things like that, with their coaches as a team. Some teams had Zoom meetings and things like that as they were, you know, at the beach or different things on break. And then the regular students who didn't play any athletics at school, they found out through an email from the board of trustees and the president, basically listing what was going to happen.
So your season's already started, and obviously you got to finish out the semester no matter what, to not screw up the transfer process with credits and stuff. So, but obviously you're focused on baseball, and you guys go on a run, man. Kind of talk about that, because you make a deep run and make it all the way to the D3 World Series.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was special. You know, when we first heard some guys were looking around, including myself, I'd be lying if I didn't say it, and I was, you know, do we even get to finish the season? Like, that was kind of a thought that went in my head at first. And, you know, coach was sitting up there reassuring us, like, yes, we're going to finish this season. You know, we're going to do it. And I kind of think the main reason that we finished the way we did was due to coach's leadership. You know, he kind of sat us down and was like, look, we're not going to give in. You know, there's going to be professors, there's going to be students who quit going to class, there's going to be people who, you know, they start looking to the future and they forget about the time that they still have left here. You know, we still had 2.5 months left on campus when we found out, or right on about. So, you know, we were kind of taking the approach of, we're going to finish this for the alums. We're going to finish it for all the guys who played before us in our jerseys. You know, BSC baseball is a program that's been really good for a long time. And so that's kind of the approach we took as we started playing, and, you know, we took off. I think the guys, once they heard the news, you know, we had some weight on our shoulders, just not knowing about what was going to happen with the uncertainty. We didn't know whether the school was going to stay open or not. And I think as sad of a news it was that we got it, I kind of think it took a weight off of some of the guys' shoulders and allowed us to just play free and play for each other and play for the guys that played before us.
So as the season's going on, man, and you get to the postseason, you guys are making a deeper and deeper run, right? And you actually get to the pinnacle, the World Series.
Absolutely.
And, you know, catch me up, man. when the school actually closed, you were at the World Series,
at the World
correct?
Series,
So
yeah.
just kind of, and you know it's going to happen for weeks, and then it's getting national attention.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the surrealness of that whole thing as you're trying to win the ultimate goal, yet this periphery of craziness is going on around you.
I mean, it was crazy. Just from the moment that we made the tournament, you know, that you start seeing a couple videos, a couple of things of people talking about what potentially could happen. And then we win the regional. You know, we play really good up in Lexington against some really good teams, come in as a 3 seed, and we kind of cruised through there. And so you start to get a little bit of attention there. I think John Boy Media and some different big accounts like that started to post it. And then once we kind of got into that week of the Super Regional, you know, we're showing up for practice from the regional, getting ready for the Super Regional, and all of a sudden there's some news crews at campus and some different things that we're not used to. And we start hearing that there's going to be a documentary crew following us around. And, you know, it was just so cool because, like, when you're a little kid, all you want is to be able to play in front of, you know, a bunch of fans. You want to be able to play in front of the cameras. You want to be on TV. So it was a really cool moment, you know, and I think it was special. I was glad to have my brothers there to do it with me. That was, you know, it was a special moment, and it was a hard time for us, but I think that all the national attention, it made it so worth it because it allowed the nation to see how special of a place Birmingham Southern was, and so that was everything to me.
So let's get to the World Series, man,
right.
And you're to the point where, for everybody, right? Our next loss is our last game.
Right.
But for this group, it's the last game forever.
Yeah.
Talk about that, man. What obviously that had to inspire you guys to keep the streak.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, that was in the back of our head the entire time from the moment we got our bid into the regional till the Supers and to the World Series. But, you know, we lost that first day of the World Series, the day that the school closed. And so then it really got real. You know, it was like we hadn't lost in the Supers or in the regional before. So, you know, it always could have been our last day, but it wasn't. We never necessarily got to the point where it could be our last game. And we showed up to the park, you know, that Saturday at the World Series, and it was real. You know, it was like today could be the last day that Birmingham Southern ever plays baseball, ever. And it wasn't just, you know, most guys are like, you know, this is the last time for the season, but this was going to be the last time for forever. And you know, it helped that we had so many alumni and fans at the World Series with us, cheering us on. You know, I think we had a couple thousand people there just cheering us on. And so, honestly, you would have thought that our guys would be tight because of the magnitude of the situation, but really we were loose the whole time. You know, and I think we were just kind of out there thankful for the ability to play one more time with the guys. And that was kind of that thought process we went into that next game when we could have been on the brink of elimination against Randolph-Macon. It was just, you know, let's just win this game. Let's get one more day with each other. And it was the same with Whitewater the next day, and obviously it didn't pan out the way we wanted to in the end, but it was, I mean, the guys were loose the entire time and just enjoying the moment that we were blessed with.
So obviously the run comes to an end, and I mean, you were there, right? I heard the stories that you guys as a team elected to take a bus ride home, and that's going to be like 8, 9, 10 hours as opposed to catching a flight because you wanted that one last trip together as many baseball teams and many sports teams with your family, man. Talk about that, man. I mean, you don't have to go into granular detail, but that had to be quite a 9-hour bus ride with all kinds of emotions.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, it was just after we had lost the game, and Coach kind of had us out there after all the post-game interviews and everything. We were sitting out in the parking lot, hanging out just as a family, you know, fans, family, players, alumni. Everyone was sitting out there. We were just kind of having a good time, pizza, hanging out, and Coach went up to some of the seniors, some of the leadership committee on the team, and he just kind of asked us simply, he was like, you know, do you guys want to go through the process of taking a bus to the airport and then hopping on a flight, or do you guys want to do one last bus ride? And, you know, when you really think about it and people harp back on their time of playing college athletics, most of the time they talk about the time they spent with their guys, not the stats, not the wins, things like that. And so bus rides they're really, truly unreplaceable. Just the fun we have on that. You know, when you're in a small space, 40, 50 guys, and there's nowhere else to go, you have to hang out with each other. And so, you know, that's the time where guys get really close, and it was an opportunity for us to have one last bus ride as a team and as a program. So it was something that we couldn't pass up.
So the reality sets in that you get home and the place is closed. What was it like when you pulled up to back to wherever your cars were parked?
It was weird. You know, it was kind of like pulling into a ghost town almost. You know, everything's kind of packed out. All that's really left sitting there for us is, you know, our ADs there and a couple of faculty members that are still going through some classes and closing things up. But for the most part, it was us and Campo. And, you know, we had to get back and we had to move out decently quick. The school gave us, I think we got back on Tuesday, the school gave us till Friday to be out. So, you know, we had some time. We got to hang out one last time as a team, you know, have one last night at the field, just hanging out and having fun. But it was definitely a weird moment to pull off campus that one last time. It was kind of one of those moments that, you're pulling away from a family member and you're like, yeah, I don't know when you're going to see you again, and it's just kind of one of those sad moments that was surreal for me, for sure.
All right, so the reality now is set in that the whole team's in the transfer portal that has eligibility rating, which includes yourself.
Right.
So in your situation, kind of explain that process, because it's the same, but it's different.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be different for everyone. Different guys are in different positions. Freshmen are looking for a place that they can go for 3-4 more years, and there's some guys that are looking to only go for 1 or 2 more years. But Coach has been extremely helpful for every single person, and he's juggling a lot on his plate, trying to figure out what job he's going to take and what he's going to do for his family. He lost his house. I mean, talk about feeling bad for the guys, but I mean, I feel way worse for the faculty members and the staff that lost their entire livelihood. All I lost was, I was going to have 1 more year on campus, and it makes me sad, but I feel bad for the faculty members. But, as you talk about the transfer process, it's just kind of been, discussing with some different teams throughout the season. Some guys have been talking to you, and most of the guys have been in the transfer portal for about a month and a half now. So everyone's had some discussions with some teams, and coaches help facilitate those discussions with different teams that people are looking at. And it's been a cool process, getting to talk to different people and getting to hear about different programs. But it's one that guys are going to go through at their own pace and do different things. So
yeah, well, I'll get you out on this one, man, because you've been so generous with your time. But a good summer here in Xenia will help your case.
Absolutely.
As far as scouts, people who are on the recruiting trail, however that process works, man. Talk about what you need to work on to find a new landing spot.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm out here. I had a great season over at Birmingham Southern, and so I'm kind of out here to just kind of continue getting ABs, stay sharp. Wherever I go, I want to be sharp in the fall. But it also, I'm out here. I'm working on the swing, working on some base running things. I think one of the main things I can get better at is base running, just like stealing more bags. I know I'm quick enough to steal, but just having the confidence to steal more, that's kind of like one of the main things I'm working on. And then just continuing to polish up defense and arm strength has been a big thing. But for me, it's just another opportunity that I get to play baseball. Nothing's been guaranteed for the last 2.5 months. And the one thing that's guaranteed is 31 now with the Scouts. 31 more games, to play baseball, because, you never know what could happen. So I'm just thankful to be out here to be able to play again. So.
Well, Eli Steadman, you've been through a lot, but obviously you've got a great spirit about it, man. Congratulations on everything in the past. Best of luck in the future, man, especially tonight as we record this, going up against the Michigan Monarchs, because you guys are winners of 4 straight.
Absolutely. We're on a good streak, so it's been good since I've shown up. We've won 3 straight, so I'm hoping we can keep that going.
All right, great, Eli. We'll see you down the road, man.
Thank you.
We're back here with Eli Steadman. Later on in the summer, we're going to just kind of follow up on the fact that you were able to find a new home through the transfer portal after the closing of Birmingham Southern, as you just recently committed to James Madison University. Kind of talk to me about how that process all went.
Yeah, well, I'm obviously extremely excited. I give all the glory to God, but it was kind of just a strenuous process that started when I heard that the school was going to be closing, that I kind of pushed off until the season was over. And then obviously once I came up here, I knew that it was going to be difficult trying to manage summer ball and trying to find a school or a place to play. But I got very lucky. The coaches at James Madison I'd sent an email to them and they reached back out to me, and I was able, because I was injured, to actually go down to campus for a couple of days and see the campus and meet the coaches and see all the facilities. And it was the right place for me. It was a place that I felt like I fit.
So the whole thing really turned out to be a happy ending.
Absolutely. It's a good ending, one that I definitely didn't see coming, and I'm just extremely grateful for everything. So.
All right, so I'm sure you're looking for another happy ending as far as for the Xenia Scouts. You guys are looking to get into the playoffs with the 4th and final spot. You have 2 games left to go with 5 games left to play. So your best chance, right, is to win out and then hope for the best. But you're going up against the Muskegon Clippers in this series. You've already won game 1 against the Clips, who are trying to clinch their spot as well.
Right. I mean, it just goes to show that every game, I mean, especially tonight, means everything to both teams. We're on a hot streak. I know that they've been scuffling a little bit. So, we're looking to jump out there and get on them early like we did last night. And just hopefully, like you said, win out, control what we can control, win the next 2 games, and then leave everything else up to God and see what happens for the playoff seeding.
So as we kind of wrap this up, man, this has been a crazy journey that started back in January. And you've talked about your faith, which is very important to you, quite obviously, as well it should be. Talk about how that got you through some tough times and maybe even some dark places to get to this happy ending.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just kind of one of those things that God's been a fallback for me. He's been like a bedrock, like things can get extremely low. I was feeling very low when the school closed, but God's kind of one of those things that supports me. And I feel like he keeps me upright. And, it was just one of those things where I could sit in the situation and get extremely upset and get extremely angry, or I could, look at it and say, God's got something coming for me, a plan that I can't see. And obviously that happened with James Madison. It's not something that I thought was going to happen, going from a D3 school to a mid-major D1 that competed in a regional last year. So just kind of seeing the way that God's worked through this story, not just with me, but with all of my teammates back home and with some of the guys that I've been with up here. God's been a big thing for that, a big part of that. So,
Eli Steadman, thank you so much for sharing your story, and best of luck tonight as the Scouts go for win number 6.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.